Welcome back, Beans Army, to another episode of the Less is More Sports Podcast, the college offseason podcast, where you could say we're less of the regular season, but more of the offseason. We're doing things a little differently today. It's just me here on the show, and maybe that's fortunate or unfortunate, depending on who you ask. But we had a topic that was planned before the official start of the 2024-2025 college football season that we just had to get out and let you, as the fans, see before we officially start this new season in college football. Absolutely cannot wait. It's almost here, guys and girls. And that also means that college basketball is also just around the corner. And this is absolutely the best time of year. I cannot wait. I love it. And the main thing that we're going to do today is that I'm going to ask a series of questions that I want you all to answer in the comment section below. It's going to be a quick, easy episode. And I think even Matt and Ryan are going to do their own private videos where they give their opinions on different questions that I ask. But this episode in particular, you all probably actually will love this if I'm being completely honest. You will not hear a single one of my opinions on each of these topics. I am leaving this episode strictly for your enjoyment and for you to ask these questions yourself or answer these questions yourself. Sorry, I worded that wrong. It's a little weird doing this show by myself. Oh, sorry, Bean. I know you're here. You're always with me. I know. Such a good boy. I know. Thank you, buddy. But anyways, the main topic that this podcast is about is teams around the country have finally answered one of the most important questions before their season starts. And that is who their starting quarterback is going to be as they head into the season. You know, we've got some big names like Dylan Raiola, a very talented five-star prospect that is officially named the starter of Nebraska football. Does Matt Rule officially have his QB1 that sets off his era? We will see. Malik Murphy, I'm going to talk about him for a second because y'all know I'm a Duke fan. I got to shout out my Duke guys here. This is just such a great moment for me because I've been a fan of Malik Murphy's game since I watched him through the high school circuits. And I would have loved to have seen him eventually be the quarterback in Texas at some point. But when you have other great quarterbacks on the team like Quinn Ewers, like Arch Manning, that quarterback room just gets a little competitive. So I'm happy to see him actually go somewhere where he's going to be that coveted quarterback one. And for me, this is an absolute best case scenario all around because he goes from one of my teams to the other. And just seeing all the Instagram posts that he's made where he's taken pics of him in full Duke uniform, it's beautiful. I love it. I cannot wait to see him do great things at Wallace Wade Stadium this year and represent the Manny Diaz era for the Duke Blue Devils. But I'm officially going to get into my first question I have for you all today. And full context, there are 134 Division I football teams out there, meaning that there are 134 starting quarterbacks in Division I football. And some of you all may gamble, some of you all may not, but we like to do this thing in the gambling world called the over-under. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a line, and I want you all to tell me if you think it's going to be over or under that respected line. And that is 50% of all the starting quarterbacks who start week one of the 2024-2025 college football season will be the starting quarterback by season's end. So let me know in the comment section below. Do you think more than 50% or under 50% will be starting by season's end? Let me know. Moving on to the next question. And if you follow any of our other content pages, like on TikTok, the little side quests I do, the YouTube shorts, you know that one of the more surprising moves when talking about naming the quarterback one of their respective team came with my beloved Boise State Broncos, because you know it's not a Less is More Sports podcast without shouting out Boise State somehow, some way. One of the most shocking storylines coming from there was when former three-star recruit Maddox Masden, who started several games for the Broncos last year, was named the starting quarterback over the highly coveted 5-star transfer from USC and Malachi Nelson. So, my next question to you all, I know I said I was surprised. I know I said college football media was surprised, but I'm asking you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you by this move? Let me know in the comment section below. And piggybacking off of this same topic, my next question is based on several comments I got on those little side quest videos. I had a bunch of different reactions on it, and I am appreciative of all of them. But it really begs a very valid question because everyone's opinion on what they look for in a starting quarterback may or may not be different. And where that ties in is that Maddox Maston starting over Malachi Nelson. This is clearly an example of Spencer Danielson, the head coach at Boise State, is choosing to go with the guy that knows the playbook and knows the offense better than the more talented quarterback. Because there's no question, Malachi Nelson is a great talent. But there is more to playing quarterback than talent alone, and we all know that. So I think this particular instance really begs the question. If you are this head coach of a football program, doesn't matter what level, which quarterback would you want starting for your team? Do you want the guy that maybe isn't as talented but knows the playbook better? Or are you going to go with the guy who has more talent and maybe has a higher ceiling? Again, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. There is no right or wrong answer here. And overall, that ends the questions I have for this particular episode. So the one thing that we were going to do, should me, Matt, and Ryan all be on the episode, is something we're going to bring to every episode during the college football season. We're going to highlight big games, and we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about, certain matchups that we like better than others, and we're going to make predictions on who's going to win the big games of each week. Being that it is the first week of the college football season, we're going to make predictions for all of them. Of course, you got Florida State versus Georgia Tech. You have Montana State versus New Mexico State. You have SMU versus Nevada. And you have Delaware State versus Hawaii. And what each of the three of us have taken the liberty of doing is we've predicted who is going to win each of those games. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep a tally of how many of us get right and wrong throughout the course of the season. And once the season is over and we'll add the tallies up, we're still debating on how we want to declare the winner, or if the loser has to do something. We're still debating that in the group chats before each show. But it's something different that we're bringing to the episode because I know we are a primarily college off-season podcast, but I figured it was something we could also do to end every episode, have a little fun with it. So without further ado, I'm officially going to get into my predictions for the week 1 of the college football season. In the first game, Florida State versus Georgia Tech, I'm going Florida State. That one was no question at all to me. And the 2 game, Montana State versus New Mexico State, I'm going to go with New Mexico State on that one. The 3rd game, SMU versus Nevada, I'm going to go with SMU. But here's where it gets interesting because the 4th game, Delaware State versus Hawaii. Delaware State is a 39-point underdog. And I am going to predict that they shock the world and beat Hawaii. Maybe that prediction comes to bite me in the butt, but hey, I'm going to have fun with it while I am. Now, if you just bear with me for a second, I'm going to pull up Matt and Ryan's answers, and then we will officially conclude another episode of the Less is More Sports podcast. So just bear with me for a second. All right. I got Matt. So in the first game, Florida State versus Georgia Tech, he says Florida State wins this game. He said this game will be close in my opinion. FSU triumphs in what I see as a messy game in Dublin. DJ's big debut is here. But unfortunately, one of Georgia Tech's strongest units is their secondary, led by Clayton Powell-Lee. Haynes King is a nice transfer too, but FSU has a chip on their shoulders, and all they'll hear is that Georgia score before they get back to winning. FSU in a close one, 37-31. That is his prediction for game one. Game two, Montana State versus New Mexico. He said this should be the toughest game to call this weekend. It's FCS versus FBS. But some people think this rebuilding UNM team will go 0-12. Montana State is 0-13 in their last games against FBS opponents, but have a very strong run game, averaging 7 yards per rush last year. UNM's defense was 108th in the country. So I'm taking the Bobcats in a close game, 27-24. He says the next two are easy. I love his confidence here. He says SMU rolls Nevada. Simple enough. And then he gets to the last game where he says Delaware State lost 57-0 to Army last year. So Hawaii should aim for the same. But I'll take the Rainbow Warriors 45-7. So if you're keeping track, Matt's got Florida State, Montana State, SMU, and Hawaii winning. Now officially for Ryan's picks. And I'm pulling these up now. Just bear with me for a second. So for the Florida State-Georgia Tech game, he goes, I have Florida State covering the spread at -10, but by barely. I think it'll be a tough game and won't be easy for Florida State. Haynes King is still tough and will do well against the Florida State defense. So he's got Florida State. He said, I'll take Montana State at -11.5. He said, I have SMU -25. They will be a force in the ACC. And he said, I will take Delaware State on the points, +40. 40 is a lot of points, and I think they still lose, but they will not get obliterated by 40 points. So there you have it. Ryan has Florida State, Montana State, SMU, and then Delaware not getting obliterated by 40 points. So there you have it. That concludes another podcast of the Less is More Sports podcast. As always, like and subscribe to the Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channels. Be sure to follow our social media pages for the latest update on our newest content on Facebook, Twitter, and Threads. That's at Less is More Sports. Also follow the side quest on TikTok at BeansDad018. I also post them on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, so you'll be able to see them there as well. But as always, thank you all for tuning in. We absolutely love all of our listeners, and we are completely excited that college football is officially back. Now it means college basketball is officially around the corner. Not bad for just me and you, Bean. I don't think Bean was impressed, to be completely honest. He's giving me the little side eye. Oh, you know what? Bean, I think, wants to do predictions. So, Bean, tell me what you got in these games. So, Bean, oh, you don't want to talk right now. That's fine. But you did tell me before I got on the show. Bean is going to go with Georgia Tech winning against Florida State. He's going to go with New Mexico beating Montana State. At least we have that one in common. He's going to go with Nevada beating SMU, a little surprising. And he's going to go with Hawaii beating Delaware State. So that's Beans. So at the end of college football week 1, you'll be able to see who had the more accurate predictions. Will it be me? Will it be Matt? Will it be Ryan? Or will it be Bean? To be determined. But as always, that concludes another episode of the Less is More Sports podcast. And now Bean is in full force. That was a good episode, bud. You're a great helper. He's just looking at me like, I know. Tell me about it. He knows he's the star of the show. He knows you all come for him and stay for the sports takes. It's no secret. Well, tell me how you really feel, bud. Thanks. But anyways, that concludes another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, it's your host, Les Abbott, and I'm officially out.